Hi everyone and welcome back. Happy Sunday. So I'm excited to this video to tell you guys about my experience and visit to the Metropolitan Museum. They call it the Met Museum. Yeah, I went there for the very first time finally yesterday and I was thoroughly amazed, yo. So we're going to talk about that. Hold on, give me a second here. Gonna light some incense, but so I think I left my house, it was around 2 o'clock, I think it was. I'm like, all right, not bad timing, because I got up yesterday morning. I started to clean my place. I did laundry, and I actually did some paintings, you guys, which I'm going to show you guys at the end of this video. Two African paintings, which makes I think a total of 83. According to my last video, I was at 79. And so most of you guys probably know that I actually took to painting during the pandemic in October of 2020 as a means to just redirect my energy. And it worked out for me. That's like my go-to anti-drug. So, I have 4 new paintings I'm going to show you guys. Very beautiful. I'm looking at them right now. Oh, you guys are so wonderful. And I'm going to tell you guys about my experience. So, I was like, whoa. So, I leave my place around 2 o'clock. And because I live in Upper East Side, I was able to walk to the Metropolitan Museum. It's just a couple blocks away from where I live, right? I get to the Met. And it's funny because I've always been by the Met Museum. I actually pass by the Met Museum every time I go to the Central Park, right? Because I live nearby. And I always see a bunch of people outside hanging out on the steps. Very big ass building. And I've been telling myself, like, you know what? I want to go by there. I want to go check it out and see what it's like. And I finally did that. I made a decision to go. I went to their website and I saw that they had a pay-as-you-wish for New York residents, as long as you show proof of ID, which I do have. And I went there yesterday. I get to the museum. Same thing. A long-ass line of people outside. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going through that line. But I saw someone else had the door open to the left of the main entrance. And I went there, and he was asking for, like, proof of vaccination. I showed him my vaccination card. And I showed him, I don't even think he asked for ID. He was just like, proof of vaccination, queen. I showed that, walked through the door, right? And then you get inside and then they direct you to, if you don't already have tickets, they direct you to like another line where you go and pay as you wish or purchase your ticket. So, it didn't take that long actually. From the point when I entered the museum, after I showed my vaccination card, which I didn't even have to stand in line for that. I was like, okay, great. I go in there. I paid $5. I'm like, all right, because I don't know. Like, I went to the website and I saw they had some exhibits that I was interested in, right? So I'm like, all right, they got some interesting exhibits. They had, I think, at least 4 that I wanted to check out. And I'm going to tell you guys in a minute the names of the exhibits. Because I wasn't sure, I'm like, I'll do $5. So, and hello you guys, how are you guys doing? Who's tuning in, by the way? So I go in there and I pay $5, and then I'm like, okay, where do I begin, right? First of all, I got twisted around. So after I got my ticket, I think I proceeded left, and it took me to like a dead end, right? And I'm like, okay, where am I? Where am I going? The place is so big. And then she directed me to go back the other way up the steps. Go up the steps, and of course, lo and behold, the very first exhibit, I think, was Greco-Roman art. Go figure, right? And it was a lot of it. And I started to get the feel that the museum was super focused on Greco-Roman art, and I was hoping, twisting my fingers, hoping that it wasn't. Right? So I'm like, I know they have some exhibits that I know I want to see. this is the reason why I came here, right? So and it's funny, I didn't even get a chance to go to the Walt Disney exhibition. So they actually had an exhibition called Inspiring Walt Disney, the Animation of French Decorative Arts. That was, I think, on the first floor. Well, once you go up the steps, right? The main floor. But I saw that long line. The line had to be at least freaking, I don't know, 200 feet long. Like, this is not even an exaggeration. It was wrapped around the inside of one exhibit. And so I'm like, I can't stand in that line. So I didn't check that out, but I wanted to, right? And so the exhibits that really brought me to this museum include Before Yesterday We Could Fly, an Afrofuturist period room. And I think that is an exhibit that actually showcases kind of like a replica of one of the homes in the village. Sorry, you guys, for chopping up. I hate when it does that. But this exhibit, the Before Yesterday We Could Fly, an Afrofuturist period room, was actually like a replica paying homage to the Seneca Village, which was in Central Park. It was a civilization of freed slaves who had settled in Central Park, right? And this is before, like, Central Park is what it is now, obviously. And I think they said they had, like, it was a good number of families that were there. They had, like, hospital. They had their own, like, little utopian society there. Hospital, homes, and grocery store, and all of that there. But then, of course, it got uprooted and destroyed. So they had an exhibit on that. It was really kind of tight, though. It was very small inside of one of the rooms there. And I finally got around to that. The funny thing about the way this museum is set up, the exhibits that I actually came there for and wanted to see, I didn't really get to until, like, at the end, because it's just a maze, yo. It's like they have so fucking many exhibits there that, like I said, the ones I wanted to see, which was, I think, 4. That one, The African Origin of Civilization in America, Lexicon of Fashion, and I think there was, like, one other exhibit I wanted to see. Art of Native America. So, yeah, I didn't get a chance to see those till the end, just how it was designed, because I think they were on, like, the lower level. But I finally got around to them, and I was like, yes. And they have a whole exhibit on ancient Egypt. I was wild, you guys. I was, like, thoroughly impressed. Though, okay, so I got there, I think it was around somewhere between 2 and 3. Maybe, let's see, maybe it's on my ticket. These are when I went in, I was thinking maybe the timestamp is here, but maybe not. Oh, maybe, yeah, it is. So I got there. This is an actual ticket. All right. So I got there at 2:46, yo. And by the time that I got to the exhibits that I want to see, it was like after 5. So that gives you an idea of, like, how much time, it took to go through the entire museum. And I do believe I covered all of the grounds, of course, except for, like, the Walt Disney. That was a whole separate exhibit by itself, and it had a long line. That was the only exhibit there that had a line just to get inside. I'm like, I can't do this, so I skipped that one. That was, like, one of the first exhibits that I stumbled across. I see a lot of people are coming in, but no one is saying anything. They're just kind of passing through. All right. Hello, guys and girls. So, yes, I finally got around to the ones that I wanted to see. And I was, a bit exhausted. Like, I had been on my feet, obviously, for a couple hours, several hours. I started to feel it, too. Not really in my feet, but in my back, my lower back. And I'm just like, okay, push through, right? And I was wearing my big overcoat, my Malian, kind of, what is it? peacoat style Malian coat, right? You guys have seen that before. I have actually 2 of those. I was wearing that. It's pretty heavy, pretty thick. I was wearing that because the temperature is low here in New York. I think it was in the 30s yesterday. And given that I walked from my place to the museum, of course I wanted to dress comfortably, but yes, inside the museum, I was like, a lot of people, of course, had coats, right? But they had to take out their coats. I didn't want to carry it. I'm like, it's better just to have it like on and carry it that way than carry it on my arm because it's really heavy. So yes, you guys can imagine. And I was really like, even the exhibits that I didn't go there to see, I was really thoroughly impressed by. And I took lots of pictures. You guys can check those pictures out on my Facebook page. So I do have a profile page named Danielle Ubawa. Ubawa is named after my nonprofit literary organization, spelled U-B-A-W-A. It's an acronym which stands for Urban Books, Authors, and Writers of America. So that's my profile page on Facebook, Danielle Ubawa. So I posted a whole album of all of my pictures. I think it's like 91 pictures that I uploaded to that profile. And I also posted the same pictures to my fan page. I changed the name. So I changed the name of my fan page from Danielle Leach, which is my government birth name, to Danny's World after my YouTube channel. So go check those out. Especially if you guys are watching this on YouTube. If you really want to see all of those pictures, I'm saying like it was... those pictures are really amazing. I capture every single item in the museum because they have so many, and all the items are numbered. They have thousands of pieces there. It's like the funny thing about how the museum is designed is they have so much there. If you have to be mindful, right, of the time and really focus on what you came there for, right? So, have an idea of what exhibits you want to see before you go inside, which I did, right? And I know I had those 4 that I wanted to see. So, yeah, I was really mindful of the time and how I navigated through the museum. So, of course, there were other exhibits that caught my eye, but I would just kind of like pass through, right? Just like walking through, shimmying my way through different exhibits. But I feel like in order to really do justice and really appreciate every exhibit there, I would like to have a tour guide, right? Because there's a lot of art that I'm looking at, and I'm just like, it would be really nice to have a tour guide. Of course, they have like the placard there that gives you information on what the exhibit is about, but it doesn't do justice, right? It's better to have a curator. So I'm thinking the next time I go back, I'm definitely going to set up a tour, be a part, like join one of their tours. But even that, I'm sure they don't cover every single exhibit, and they probably just cover like whatever ones you want to participate in. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I get down to finally the exhibits that I wanted to see at the latter end of my visit there. And I think the first one I came across was the Afro-futurism exhibit. And like I said, that was like a small room. It was nice. Then I got to the Egyptian exhibit, and y'all know I have my own perspective on that. And the funny thing about Egypt, right, which is not uncommon for many countries across the world, is that it has been colonized. So when people see like remnants of Egyptian history, right, and especially when they look at the gods that are depicted and the pharaohs, right, the figures, the people that are depicted from Egyptian history, and they see like the skin tone of it, like leave it up to European people, you would think that the only people from Egypt were fair skin, right, were lighter skin, when in fact we know the original Egyptians were melanated, right? So that, of course, that's a whole nother video, but I had to indicate that because, of course, the Egyptian exhibit, like, I took a picture, so you guys have to check that out. But they had this image projected, and I thought that medium in which they did so was like really amazing, right? Really genius. How they had like a projection of these 3 Egyptian, I think they were gods, projected onto the wall. And the wall was from a structure that they took from Egypt, right? Actual structure. It wasn't a replica. It was an actual structure they took from Egypt and they brought to Manhattan, New York, and placed in the museum. The structure, what do they call that structure? Not a pyramid, but it's a structure. The wall, the hieroglyphs on the wall. And so I like how they projected in color these images on the wall. So that was really nice. But of course, one of those figures was fair skin. I'm just like, of course, the other 2 were in the actual true form, true color. Which also kind of goes into the idea how back in time, the skin of those gods were like different colors, right? Of course, like melanin, like brown tone, but also green. They said that our skin was green back in the day. So I've made videos, and I've of course made Egyptian art, which I'm looking at now, of different gods like Isis and Osiris, and God Hathor I have here in my living room, and I have 7 Egyptian gods hanging over my bed, right? So I'm laying in my bed and I can look up and they're looking down at me, at these Egyptian gods. But I've shared these paintings with you guys in my videos and try to argue against this, like, oh, well, you know, the Egyptians were not black, they were white, and this and the other. Well, white skin, right? Saying that they're from the Middle East, and from the Middle East, meaning that they migrated to that part of that region, right? They're not indigenous to that region, so gives you an idea, like, of the true color of those people. And that's the reason why I think they make a distinction to say, to indicate, to emphasize sub-Saharan Africa as opposed to you know, the northern regions of Africa. But I think that's interesting, though, you know, and how, yes, they had the ancient Egyptian exhibit. Then they had a part where there was Egypt during the Roman Empire. So you can see the influence of the Roman Empire coming in to influence Egyptian history, culture, way of life. And of course, there's whitewash. I mean, I have to say, it's whitewash, which I don't like that. And then I saw there was another section, like all of these sections were kind of close by. So it kind of gives you an idea of like, okay, for them to design the museum in that way where you have, okay, you have Egypt, right? Then you have Egypt during the Roman colonization. Then you have Assyrian. They had a whole section for Assyrian, and I'm like, Assyrian, I'm looking at the art, I'm like, this kind of looks like Egyptian art, but really, it's not. Assyria is a whole separate state, right? It's not part of Africa, but it's close by, and you can see the influence of Egyptian culture within the Assyrian exhibit, right? Because they had like the gods, and they were designed the same way the Egyptian gods look, right? So I took pictures of that, actually made a video of that, so you guys check that out. And then not too far away, they had the Origins of Africa exhibit. So it makes sense how, okay, they have all of this kind of connected, right? And we know the true history of Africa, and that it all began with the melanated people. But I had to say that. And so then, yeah, I came around to the In America Lexicon of Fashion. That was nice. I was like, I had to go downstairs. And that's the thing about the Met Museum. It's so intricately designed that you can literally get lost in there, right? But I have a good kind of internal GPS, and so I was able to navigate my way through and not get too disoriented. But, yeah, so they have it where they have, like, mezzanines, and they have like balconies, and they have like lower levels where it's all part of the same floor, but they have it kind of fragmented. The floor is kind of fragmented with different levels, mezzanines and lower floors to the floor. So it's so freaking humongous in there, and it was a lot of people. And I was wondering, like, is this the largest museum in New York? I had went to the Museum of Museum of Modern Art, the MoMA. I went there, I think last year it was, right? 2021. And that museum is humongous. And I'm thinking, okay, wow, like this is a pretty big museum. I've been to the Brooklyn Museum too, many years ago when I actually first moved to New York back in 2014. I've been there several times actually, and I've been there once since I moved back to New York in 2020. After I completed my doctoral studies. And I'm thinking that the Brooklyn Museum is humongous, but I'm just like, yo, I think the Met might have topped all of them off, right? I think the Met is it. So I definitely want to go back, given that, I mean, I live so close to the Met Museum. So I walked there, I walked back, and when I finally finished with the museum, I think the last exhibit I finished with was the Lexicon of Fashion exhibit, after I had went through all of the Egyptian art exhibits and the African origins. Yeah, I think that was the last one. And then, of course, I had to go and pass through other exhibits. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was just like, as I was walking, navigating my way back towards the exit, I'm just like, wow, I really had an experience there. I didn't buy anything. I typically don't buy anything from the shops at museums, unless something really stands out. But I did like how they had like a lot of different little trinkets. They had, of course, books, like picture books that coincide with most of the popular exhibits. Like a good kind of coffee table book. I could have got one of those, but I chose not to. And something else I noticed is they had like actual glasses there, like pure glass cups, like drinking. But I think it's just for design. You wouldn't want to drink out of that. They were like $80-some for each glass. Just like, oh, that would be cute. Wine glass, toast, cheers. But no, I didn't buy anything. There was so many people. Even at the time I left, I think I left, it was like approaching 6 o'clock, which means that I pretty much spent a good 3 hours at that museum. I'll show you guys. This is the map, yo. The map really is not helpful, and I think men are better at reading maps than women. I have to admit that. At least I remember my dad. He used to like be great at reading maps. When we would travel different places when I was younger. But yo, this is a fucking map, and I think the map just makes things a lot more confusing. So I did have to rely on some of the museum security to direct me to a few of the exhibits. I think at least twice that I relied upon their help. That's how big this place is, yo. You see this? So they have the ground floor, floor 1 and the mezzanines, floor 2 and floor 3. It is humongous, and then all of those like architectural design, yo, is amazing. It's just, do you see into the numbers? It's just like, okay, for each section is numbered, and yo, it's like up in the 900s, I think. It's a lot of fucking rooms there. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and transition into the next part of this video, which is showing you guys these 4 art pieces that I had fun painting. I actually started them, I think, a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I like did the drawings for them, and then I painted them all yesterday before I went to the museum. Oh, I did get a chance to go to the Museum of Natural History. I think that was last year too, and that was a really nice museum, which I want to go back to. I think I went there on a date. that Met Museum, they got it all. Because I noticed there's some, like, consistencies with the exhibitions they have at the Brooklyn Museum, at the MoMA, at the Museum of Natural History. They all have, like, Greco-Roman art. They all have Egyptian art and history. So I had to say, so the thing about the Met, which I think is kind of somewhat consistent with, like, the MoMA and the Brooklyn Museum, is they have art from, like, all the different time periods of fucking amazing, yo. And not just time periods, of course, but across different geographical regions, like Asia, Tibet, Korea, oh my gosh, Africa, India, China. Like, it's like, what region did they not cover? Of course, America. I don't think I saw anything like Caribbean. That's the thing. The Caribbean always gets left out, unfortunately. I went to a screening of this movie called Bigger Than Africa. It's basically talking about the voyage of the Yoruba tribe from Nigeria through the transatlantic slave trade to the Americas and to certain parts of the Caribbean, like Trinidad and Tobago. But it was funny because during the Q&A, a person from Jamaica was wondering, asked the filmmaker, the writer and director, like, what about Jamaica? Because he's covering, like, different regions. I think mainly 6 countries that the Yoruba tribe have a presence in, right? Coming from Nigeria through the transatlantic slave trade. And they're like, okay, what about Jamaica? We didn't see Jamaica in the film. And he's like, because I only wanted to focus on, like, I guess, like, the predominant regions where you see a significant presence of the Yoruba tribe there. But I'm sure, like, we're all over the place, right? And I say we, I mean, like, people of African descent. But I think that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how sometimes, like, countries like Jamaica, they kind of get left out. So, of course, I didn't see, like, anything related to, like, the Caribbean or Jamaica represented at any of these museums from what I can recall. Now, correct me if I'm wrong for you guys who are familiar with these museums that I named, but yeah, it's unfortunate. Of course, you have, like, American art, European art. And it's funny, I saw an exhibit where, and I didn't really pay too much attention to it, but it was like 4 people. It was like, I think mother, father, and children, but they all seemed to be the same size, and it had something about, like, it seemed to be kind of inappropriate. They were all, like, unclothed. They were naked. I'm just like, what is this? I do tend to like exhibits that portray just humanity in their natural form. Like naked, of course. But as adults, like the fact that they had children, like naked and clothed, I'm like, I don't know. I didn't like. It's like life size kind of exhibit. They have so many, yo. Just remembering like the exhibits that really stood out. So, yo, they had an exhibit on musical instruments. From the different time periods. They had an exhibit on guns. They had like the medieval exhibit where they showed like the armor, like actual armor from people who fought in different wars, battles back then. I was like, interesting. So I took some time with that, and they had like the guns from these wars or battles that they fought. So all right, on to this part. I know you guys probably are waiting, and I'm excited to see everyone here. Feel free to drop your comments below. If you guys are dropping comments, unfortunately I'm not able to see them. Sometimes Facebook does some weird things like that. Alright, so this is one of the pieces that I painted, and I love doing these head wraps, like colorful, very dynamic head wraps. And of course I pick my own colors. I also like coloring the skin tone I just like adding color to canvas, period, right? It just gives me life when I do that. But they didn't, none of these, like, they didn't take that long to do because you guys will see they're all, like, kind of small in size. So, I really like this. And this color, I made this color, mixture of yellow, green, white, and it was another type of yellow color, I think, like orangish yellow color that I used. And I noticed that I have created like a motif of paintings of women, the feminine energy. I have more feminine energy paintings than I have of anything else here since I've started painting back in October 2020. So this makes, these 4 paintings make 83 total. I don't know how many women, but I would say probably, if not 25, I would say 20 to 25% of my paintings are women. So that's a good thing. I don't think I did it on purpose. I just think I just did that. Just pulled in that direction to paint women. I like painting women. Something about, I don't know, I just like painting women. And I find drawing women to be much easier than drawing men. It's just something about, I don't know, something about a woman's head. Even her body, I like doing it. I do find drawing like the breast a lot difficult though sometimes. Especially like a side profile. Alright, so I have these 2. One of which is actually on wood. I saw this at Michael's as I was getting ready to check out. You guys know how they have like that little aisle. You go down and they have like all these things, really things that you don't really need, but I can find use for somehow. So I ended up getting this, and it says Hope, H. This is obviously the O, Africa, P and E. I like this. It's wood. And it's my first time actually painting on wood. So I had fun with this. Just as basic as simple, right? But it's definitely going to stand out here. I think I'm going to hang this up here in my living room. Her that I just showed you guys, I think I'm going to hang her probably behind me up here. Right up here. So I actually have a matching one of this that I did because I figured like, oh, this could be a nice stencil. Now all of my paintings I've done thus far, I've done like eye to hand, just looking at another image, being inspired by it, and then just drawing it myself, doing my own kind of rendition of it without using any kind of tracing utensil or stencil. But I saw this and I'm like, you know what, I really like the shape of this, so why not replicate it onto canvas? And so that's exactly what I did. So I actually have 2. Voila. Same thing, right? But this is just on canvas, and then it has a background here that I painted. A mixture of different browns. I think I put brown, bronze, like maybe 3 or 4 different shades of brown there. So they match. I don't know where I want to hang this at. I don't know. Maybe somewhere probably in my foyer area. We'll see. I'll find a place for it. I have a lot in my bedroom, so a lot of feminine paintings in my bedroom. Maybe one day I'll give you guys a tour, or maybe not. Maybe when I move into my house, when I purchase a house or a condo here in New York, I'll like, before I take everything down and move out of here, I'll just like give you guys a tour. You guys can see. But my place is very colorful. I love it. Like, it's very enlivening. You can't walk in here and not just have a shift within your internal state, I think, walking in my place. is the paintings, the images like on the wall, they just kind of grab you and suck you into a different realm, I think. Of course, they're mostly African centered, so that's the vibe here. It's like my sanctuary. Well, it is my sanctuary. So I have one more. Now this is another wood one. It's something I just did for fun. I wouldn't say just make too much of this one. It's just something I did for fun. I like the colors though. Red, black, and green. So you guys probably noticed that there's also red, black, and green here, which the colors of the Pan-African flag, which has been around for a while now. I think the Pan-African flag, don't quote me on this, but it's probably not quite 100 years old yet. I think it was developed by Marcus Garvey, if I'm not mistaken, the Pan-African flag, like the colors for it. So I thought this is cute. Red, black, and green. I wanted to do something different with her eyes, just to not have white, but yellow. Triangle nose. I like triangle shapes. Kind of indicative of Africa, right? When you look at African art, you see a lot of different shapes, most of which are triangles and circles, but triangles. Yeah, it's a lot of like geometric shapes in African art, which I think makes African art easy to do sometimes, because it's just a mixture of lines and triangles, right? Like basic lines or squiggly lines, you know. Zigzag lines, right? Square kind of geometric shape lines. So that's it, you guys. So I'll flip the camera around to show you what these look like in their actual orientation. Feel free to drop your comments below and let me know what you guys think of this. I see a lot more people join in this live. Welcome, welcome. Some of you guys probably haven't been here before. It's probably your first time, but welcome. All right, so I'm going to flip the camera around and show you guys what they look like. Here we go. There's my feet. Alright, I'm going to catch you guys later. Love you guys.